Hey, everybody. Welcome to Day 3, Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Edmonton, Canada. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are brought to you by Master Spas, SFuels, Go Longer, Quintana, HOKA, One, Forum Smart Swim Goggles, Zoot Sports, the original triathlon brand, Premium Plus Sports, Challenged Athletes Foundation, and our next guest coming off a huge win at Clash Watkins Glen, Mr. Andrew Starykowicz. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. I mean, I guess when you're from Southern California, you would consider Edmonton beautiful.
Yes, it is. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I
mean, if you go an hour west of here, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the canola. I actually one of the few people who rented a car, so I drove out and have been doing my bike rides like actually out of town here.
It's beautiful.
It's windy.
Yes.
It's like 50 kilometer an hour winds.
Really?
Sustained all the time. Just brutal. And I'm like, why are we doing it downtown? We should do it out here. This would be
perfect
like
for you.
The wind machine.
So what do you think of this course in terms of, is this a Starkey course with, I mean, anytime there's a bike involved, it's a Starkey course.
Right.
And you got 3 punchy climbs, 4 loops, something like that?
It's 4-loop bike. Just a very unique course. There's parts of it that are going to suit the longer course triathlon guys, and there's parts of it that are going to suit the ITU guys. There's parts of it that are good for time trials. There's parts of it that are good for guys that are 80 pounds and can shoot up a climb. So, I mean, there's a little bit of everything in a very small space, and
$1 million.
Yeah. It's a strong field.
Yeah, it's an amazing field. And when you put $1 million out there and you talk, we were just chatting, 20th place is $5,000. There's a lot of races you do where
you got back in the day, you got $5,000 for winning Ironman Florida.
For
winning Ironman Florida. You got $5,000.
Yeah. And if you get second, you get a bagel and a t-shirt.
Yeah, just short of that. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I mean, here you finish 20th place, you get as much as you do for winning an Ironman Florida.
How important do you think the PTO and just what's been going on right now has been to keeping a lot of pros in the sport?
I think it's bigger than that.
Okay.
I think it's a lot bigger than that. I mean, what Clash is doing in putting programs on network TV, and what PTO is doing in putting international broadcasts together so it's on network TV around the world, that is how you grow a sport.
That's true.
When you look at it, 30 years ago, triathlon, Dan Skin, was broadcasting every single week endurance sports.
So was Dan in the duathlon series, too.
Exactly. So you have all of this. The triathlon multisport was on TV nearly weekly 30 years ago when there were 4 or 5 stations.
Exactly.
Now there's 500 or 5,000 stations, and 4 years ago, there was one Ironman broadcasted one event a year.
Right.
And so in the last, now we have Super League is broadcasting on TV. You have Clash. You have
Challenge.
PTO. Challenge has a few events. I mean, I wish ITU would put a few events on TV and just, I mean, they're limiting themselves just by doing, they have great coverage,
Their coverage
but it's
is
online.
phenomenal. Right.
You have to look for it.
Right.
And Ironman's just gone to the online thing. They have no more TV coverage.
Except for Kona,
I don't know. I haven't seen Kona on TV in a few years. And then but now we're going to have this year 3 events on TV with PTO. We got Super League coming up next month or 2 months from now. And we have Clash putting on 3 events that are going to be on TV. I mean, this is what the sport needs to grow again.
Exactly. It's funny because you see, when you're flipping around TV, you see spike ball on TV. You see poker on TV.
Cornhole.
Bags.
You're playing bags. Bags. CrossFit. I mean, you look at the models. UFC. You look at all these models.
It's all
what
TV.
They've done.
It's
you got to get on TV to grow, and that's why triathlon has struggled in the last decade because we have a parasite that just sucks the money out of the sport and doesn't put money back into it.
Well, when you look at what Clash has done, right?
Yes.
And by bringing NASCAR TV in. And I remember talking to the guys the first Daytona race.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so talking to NASCAR TV, are you guys, how hard is this going to be for you to film? you guys have never filmed triathlon before. And he goes, how fast did they go? I said, 30. He goes, listen, our guys go 200, okay?
Right.
We'll be sitting in the pickup truck at the top of the bank, and we'll have the West Cam in there, and we'll be eating a sandwich. We won't have a problem filming you guys going 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, it was interesting at Watkins Glen.
Yes.
Out on the bike course, they're like, I'm looking, the day before they're playing with the drone, and I'm like, so is that the same drone you guys use for like the races? And they're like, oh yeah. So I'm like, so there's no way I'm gonna outrun it. No. And not unless you go more than 100 miles an hour. I'm like, challenge is taken. But
see, a lot of this really did start with what Clash was doing. Back then it was challenges going, hey, we are doing this thing on the track. And you were instrumental in that happening because it was all sorts of rain.
It wasn't originally supposed to be on the track.
No, you were going to be at the speedway, but you were supposed to go out on the roads.
Right.
And then because of the rain and the delay, all of a sudden, I think it was you and Meredith and the other originals saying, why don't we do it on a track? Let's come up with a shorter distance. And it was the end of the season, so I think the last thing people wanted to do was a full-on 70.3. They would rather do something a little shorter.
Yeah, it was getting later in the day, so
yes.
A lot of us had flights.
Yes.
And, and we created... we basically created a shorter distance, which became the 100K distance. Mm-hmm. And it's humbling that be turned into this.
Right.
Like, not this particular event,
but just
but this
concept,
the 100K concept. Because, NASCAR, everything's at 100, 200, 400. Everything's a distance you associate.
You can understand.
So now, it's going to become the Daytona 100. And then,
right.
Maybe in time you start having different, maybe they'll become a 200 event, at a different racetrack. Or it just provides so much opportunity. And when people hear, like 100, it makes sense to them.
Yes.
So it's just incredible.
You've had a number of different challenges to overcome in your career.
Yeah.
And getting run over by the truck and getting your body back to where you're at now. And do you feel like you're almost back to where you were before?
Yeah,
hard to say.
It's one of those things is there's not a day that goes by that you in some way question how good could I have been.
Right. Sure.
I
were at the top of your game.
I was 34.
Right.
And that 34 to 36 timeline is like the gold. And
for an endurance athlete, absolutely. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah. There's not a day that goes by that leaves you kind of wondering, man, what could have been? And, I think it says a lot that I've gotten back to the level I was at before.
Right.
And is it the exact same level? It's hard to say because technology's advanced, and that's kind of helped go faster.
Sure.
So, are the numbers the same and all that? Our technology, just when you think technology can improve, it improves.
Right.
That's one of those that I'm sure will get me long after I leave the sport of triathlon. Is, man, if that didn't happen, if I didn't go for a ride that day, what could have been?
If and when. That's always hard. So Watkins Glen, right? Yeah. The first couple that you talk about, Clash Miami, Clash Daytona, Speedway, head down, power, you go. Watkins Glen was a different animal.
Oh, Watkins Glen was, it was a 2K swim.
Yeah.
But
chop, it was like victory at sea out there.
Oh, dude, it was crazy. It was lake chop, and Seneca Lake is very deep.
Right.
It's the deepest lake east of the Mississippi.
Okay.
780 feet deep or something.
God.
And
yeah.
The wind was blowing straight down the lake. The wind was supposed to die down overnight. It was still windy when we raced, which was probably the difference in me winning and losing the race. But the wind was blowing down the lake, and then where we were swimming, we start shallow and it gets deep, and it was not too choppy. We're in the shallow section, but man, once you hit that deep water, that lake chop was just brutal. And I just, in true NASCAR form, I swung wide and
took off.
And they all hugged the buoy line for a while, and then they realized that I had gapped them, and I think Jason ended up swimming me down by the end.
Right.
But I had a small gap over pretty much everyone else, which, I mean, I thought my days of coming first out of the water were long gone, especially with all these guys with the young talent. But I guess you put a hilly swim in, and it kind of changes the playing field.
It was a hilly swim. It was a hilly swim.
Oh,
That's
it was. It
well,
was.
and then you get out of the water.
Haley Chura was 31 or 32 minutes for a 2K swim. I mean, it was that brutal.
Wow. And then the bike. There's a big climb, right, to get to the track.
So the bike course has 3,500 feet of climbing. So it's more climbing than the course in Nice.
Wow.
Cumulatively.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not one climb, but it's just
multiple.
Constantly. It was, you would go up. I mean, I think the first climb was like 800 feet, and then it kind of rolled, and then you had another 400 footer and a 200 footer. And by the time, and then it's like the old Rev 3 course at Quasi, where the final mile and a half is uphill to the track. So, I mean, if you cashed your legs out, that final mile and a half, you were bleeding time. But once you got to the track, the hard part wasn't done. I mean, the run
is hilly too, right?
Oh, brutal.
It's because it's a road course. It's not.
It's a road course, but still, a lot of road courses are relatively flat, or they have flat sections. At that course, you were either going up or down. And I think I had a slightly unfair advantage that I had actually run the course with Meredith a year ago when we were helping Clash develop the course. And I knew what I was in for, so I kind of turned back the end of the bike just because I knew that it's not like a flat course where you can run with cramps and just mitigate things and maybe run a few seconds a mile slower. It is a course where there's a higher probability that you can walk, that you would have to walk. And so...
and Jason West has been having a great season, a great runner.
Great 2 years, great 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he's
phenomenal.
Coming. He's coming. He's coming for you.
Oh, he was coming. He caught me. Literally, I mean, he had me down under 100 meters.
Yes.
With a mile to go, and either he blew up or I surged, and I mean, it was a lot closer than what the time gap will ever show at the finish line.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I didn't know how close he was. I was not going to look, but the media caravan was there. All the photographers were there. And when you have them all sitting in front of you or around you, you're just like,
they're waiting for the pass.
When's it coming? When's it coming? I know this story.
I've been here before.
Yeah, I know this. And there's pictures that I received after the race of both of us in focus.
Oh, yeah, that's never good.
When you're that close together, for me, you're a sitting duck. And even my coaches, when I go back and look at the banter between my coaches, it was like, well, we've seen this story before.
Yeah.
And second place, here we are, and
you held on.
Yeah, and I mean, the coolest, maybe I had a little extra surge there at the end because, I had the whole family there, and I hadn't won a race in front of my youngest daughter yet, and she's 3.
Yes.
Because COVID, they haven't been coming to races, so she was at this one, and a lot of the people there said my daughter was more nervous than my wife during the race. And but the kids were ecstatic.
They'll never forget that. Watching Daddy win, and then they have the wine festival going on at the same time. So there's a big crowd at the finish.
Dude, there was along the course, because people go to the wine festival, they camp out and basically get hammered, and then they walk back to their campers at night. So when the race was going on, a lot of the people were standing there along the fence, all the way around the 3-mile course, cheering you on, and
they can't spell triathlon, but
they're intoxicated, which is my type of fan.
Absolutely,
they're more enthusiastic that way. But yeah, my wife and I, we went and enjoyed the wine festival a bit, and there is some really, really good wines from that area.
I know. And
then there are some really bad wines. Oh man, I was like, I tasted a few of them. I'm like, what happened to that one? But there are some phenomenal wines from the Finger Lakes region. I was really surprised.
There's nothing better than seeing Starkey back in the winner's circle. That's pretty cool.
Oh, it was, And my son's favorite driver is Chase Elliott, and that's who signed the helmet.
Oh, my God.
He's got the helmet up in his room.
Now, is that Xander?
Yes. Alexander's got that. And then Paula Finley, when she won Daytona, she didn't want to keep the helmet, so... And that had Joey Logano's signature, who is my daughter's favorite. So they each have a helmet in their room now. So I have 3 children.
You better win another helmet somewhere.
I got to win another helmet now.
You got to come back to Daytona and get something.
Yeah, I got to go to Daytona and win a helmet there.
I love it. So what are your thoughts for this for Sunday? It's probably a little short for you.
So this is a very different race for me because traditionally the bonuses for first off the bike or fastest bike split have outweighed a lot of the
winning
purses.
overall. Yeah.
Well, not the winning overall, but a lot. It's worth a position in finishing earnings.
Right. That's a good point.
And here it's not.
Right.
So, I'm going to go into this with a little different strategy of more of look at the race as a whole instead of, okay, we're going to get to the front, do what we do on the bike, and then hold on for the run. And maybe play a little bit of more of a strategic game and see if I can maybe boost my finish 1 or 2 spots. So
what I like about that is your run has become a weapon. Again. I won't tell anybody. There's nobody watching.
The media for years is, basically, and he's an Uber biker, and it's at times I feel it's actually limited my career, if with sponsorships, because he's just a biker, he's not an overall triathlete,
right.
And I mean,
You've won enough races.
I have more than 40 podiums, I have more than 20 wins.
Yep.
I mean, and I don't know how long it's going to take for me to hammer to the media guys that are dense as crap that, hey, I'm not just a one-trick pony. I mean, I've done it over and over and over, and I continue to do it, and I'm 40 now.
You're a big, not quite hairy American winning machine.
Yeah, I mean, I put out my Hulk yesterday. They wanted us to do a superhero pose in the photo shoot.
Yes.
I put out the Hulk.
As well, you should.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
Starkey, always a pleasure. I'm so excited that you won at Watkins Glen because you've been part of that in creating the event, helping them create the event, design the course, and then go out and win it. That's nice.
I said the week before I'm going there to win, and It's really nice when you can say you're going to do something and you do it because when you don't, you just look like a jerk.
Nobody would ever call you a jerk that you know of to your face.
Yeah. Well, you know what's going to happen this weekend?
What?
Hulk smash!
Thanks everybody for tuning in. The Hulk has been our guest. Hold on. We will be right back.